All right, well, thanks, everyone. I appreciate being invited to participate. And I have no disclosures. So I think work ethic is an interesting topic. You know, the definition of work ethic is a set of behavioral rules that create a positive environment at work. That's sort of the general definition of work ethic. I actually did a little research in preparation for this talk. I found this really great book by a guy named Eric Chester about reviving work ethic, really looking at what work ethic means now in this current environment compared to what it did, 20 and 50 years ago. And basically, what Eric Chester says is that there are these 7 work ethic markers that could be used to measure work ethic: positive attitude, reliability, professionalism, initiative, respect, integrity, and gratitude. And all of these markers are really can be tied back to things that everyone basically even learned when they were growing up, like just basic normal behaviors that we all expect of each other in this, and when we're interacting with each other. So one of the things that they talk about in this book is that work ethic now is not necessarily the same thing as what work ethic was, like I said, in the past. So if you look at all these surveys or research studies that have looked at differences between millennials, which most of our fellows are probably going to be millennials, versus baby boomers, and most of us are baby boomers. The millennials are described as confident, self-expressive, upbeat, and open to change, and they consider themselves unique because of their use of technology, pop and music culture, liberal and tolerant beliefs, and their intelligence. And their motto is, I'm sure you've all heard this, probably I have from my kids all the time: work smarter, not harder. Whereas baby boomers typically they brag about how they used to walk uphill both ways, in the snow, barefoot, and, how hard they had to work, and they feel like everyone now feels so entitled. And that is really true, and I think you have to really, when you're looking at your fellow, you have to sort of put yourself in their perspective so that you can, make your relationship with them more relevant to what's going on right now. So let's talk about work ethic. Like, what is the problem? I think if you think that your fellow is struggling with work ethic, I think you have to first figure out, is that really true? Like, does your fellow actually really have a problem with work ethic? And I think the first way to do that is, personally, as I think it's very important to get input from everyone else in your fellowship, right? Like, maybe for whatever reason, what you're experiencing with the fellow is not happening with your other colleagues that are participating in the fellowship, and is there maybe a specific reason why it's something that you're experiencing? So for example, for me, one of my main OR days is Tuesday. Well, Tuesday morning happens to be the resident academic time period, and my fellow was like constantly coming in late to the OR, which is a personal peeve of mine. That irritates me. But then I realized that that's because they had to sign out to the residents who were then going to their conference. So it wasn't like there was a work ethic problem, it was just a technical issue that was happening on Tuesday morning. Once I realized that, I'm like, oh, okay, so that's not really what's going on. So I think it's really important to sort of look into if there's something else going on, and then also get input from everyone else to make sure that it's not something specific between you and that fellow. I think it's really important to make sure if you're noticing something with your fellow to find out. I think it's on you to sit down with that fellow and find out if there's something going on. Maybe they're sick. We had a fellow that had a major, depressive issue during their fellowship and had to get treatment for that. Maybe they're taking care of someone in their family who's ill. Maybe they're struggling with some kind of a financial issue or a visa issue. Maybe there's just some particular issue, between you and them, or we even had a fellow who, this is not a joke, they had a stalker that was literally following them and submitting false and malignant complaints about them to like all the medical review boards about them. And so as soon as I found out about them, we got our legal, people involved and took care of it. So I mean, it's really important to find out if there's something else going on. And the other thing is that you have to understand that values are subjective. So like I said, just because, when I was a resident, I worked every other night call, and I had to draw all my own blood, and I had to go get the x-rays and bring them on rounds, like that's not the reality right now, and you can't put what you expect of yourself on your fellow. You have to put yourself in the context of what's going on right now. I think probably one of the most important things about you and your fellow and work ethic is you have to clarify expectations with your fellow. There is absolutely no way that you can think that your fellow is not doing a good job or is slacking on their job if you don't actually tell them ahead of time what their job should be, right? I mean, that is so important. At the beginning of our fellowship, I'm sure most of you do this, we sit down with our fellow, we go through all of the responsibilities that we expect of them, their roles, how we expect them to interact with the residents, what they're supposed to do on call. We tell them that all up front so that they know exactly what's expected of them. And then throughout the year, there might be some changes. Like we just hired 2 new faculty members, so we had to change all of our rotations around. So then we had another meeting with the fellow, including the residents and everything, so that everyone was on the same page. And I think that's so, so critically important. Like I said, you can't possibly be upset with your fellow and think that they're not working hard if you don't tell them what you think they should be doing. The other thing is assessment. I mean, obviously, although it would be nice to do some sort of assessment of every fellow as they're coming in to know what their baseline is, it's important for you to try to figure out where that fellow is starting out, right? We just talked about this. Can some fellows start out with really great operative technical skills? Others are, a little bit below average. I mean, I just basically sit down and I ask the fellow, like, did you scrub on any bypasses or participate in any bypasses in your residency? Have you done any intracorporeal, knot tying? Like, just try to get an idea from them what they've done in the past. We had one fellow who basically their entire residency, every MIS case they did was robotic, and they really had no straight stick laparoscopy skills. And that was, at first I'm trying to do cases with them. I'm like, you can't even do a lap chole, what's going on, right? But once I figured that out, okay, so now I know, okay, well, they need to work on straight stick laparoscopy skills, and then you have to, put something in place so that you can work on that specifically with them. But again, if you don't know that ahead of time, it's gonna be really hard for you to be able to meaningfully interact with them. Your job as the program director or associate program director or, just a faculty member in a fellowship is to provide mentorship for your fellow. And if you're providing a positive mentoring environment for your fellow, then usually that fellow will have a mutually symbiotic relationship and want to work hard for you, right? You want to do things for them, they want to work hard for you. So it is your responsibility as the fellowship director to provide mentorship, but remember that also provides a very positive attitude for the fellow and everyone else in the program, and that will only help as far as making individuals want to work harder. I think, if you see someone struggling with not working hard, sometimes you just need to maybe remind them, why is it relevant? Like, why should you be working hard? And I think there's some really important things that you can get, that the fellow wants to get from their fellowship, that working hard will be positive for them, right? Like, they want to learn how to do advanced laparoscopy. They want to have a skill set that can be marketable for them when they're done. They want to be able to provide good patient care. They want to be able to get a good job. You, as a program director, as we just talked about, that's going to be your job to help them find a job afterwards. So they work hard for you. You work hard for them to do that. And they also want to leave their fellowship with a feeling of having a relationship. So I was Dr. Mark Talamini's first fellow. I mean, it's been 20 plus years since I was a fellow, but we still have a great relationship. He calls me up, he offers me different opportunities. We have a great ongoing relationship. I've been a fellowship director for many, many years. I still keep in touch with all of my old fellows. They call me from the OR, they call me for different opportunities. And so having that long-lasting relationship with your fellow is something that we are looking for, the fellow is looking for, and just reminding the fellowship that that's what's relevant for them will hopefully help them be more proactive and working hard for you. Of course, everyone likes to be rewarded, so if your fellow is doing a good job, just a few little nice words to tell them, hey, that was great, I really appreciated what you did there. That goes a really, really long way, and that can really help motivate someone to want to work harder. And then I think, we all know this, modeling behavior. It cracks me up when I'm at a restaurant with my kids and I see like a family next to me, and everyone's on their phone and no one's talking to each other, right? But then you see the parents are doing it, but then the kids are doing it too, right? So, I mean, that's just modeled behavior. So you as the fellowship director, if you model good, positive behavior, then that will also hopefully transmit to your fellow, and they'll also model good behavior back to you. So basically, I think, you have a fellow, they're usually there for 1 year. It's hopefully a great year for you, a great year for them. You should really try to make the most of it on both sides. Again, I think the most important thing to start up front with your expectations is, I can't stress enough how critical that is. The Fellowship Council has all sorts of tools that we have available for you guys, the quarterly assessments. We're now using EPAs. We have intraoperative assessments. We're really encouraging fellowships to have a clinical competency committee regularly so that you could use all these tools to help provide feedback to your fellow as they're going through the year to allow them to be more productive. And in the end, you know what? We all want to have a good year. We want to have a good relationship with our fellow. They want to have a good relationship with us. I think just doing all these things are really just going to help you guys all make the most of your year together. So thank you.